I live 5 minutes from where these are made. If the wind's blowing in the right direction, you can smell the malty Kit Kat goodness on the breeze. I really think they should sponsor me and send me lots of free Kit Kats. They won't. So I did a video recently where I designed a base based on my Phoenix model. As you can see, I've got wood and the base template that I made from the drawing. After the video, I ironed out a few little bits. I decided on what hardware I thought I should use, and I decided on a couple of little design tweaks. None of them are major, they're all kind of along things like a bevel and arm contours and things. And then I decided that I needed to have a go at building this base. So I raided the wood stash and I found a nice piece of swamp ash, some lightly flamed roasted maple, a chunk of padauk, assorted veneers, and this top, which I've had to one side for quite a while wondering what to do with. This is camphor burl. It's absolutely insane. The figure in this type of wood, or the figure in camphor burl, is nuts. You get kind of bird's eye marks, you get flame, you get so much depth. If you spray it with some sort of alcohol so it evaporates and doesn't raise the grain and make the wood warp, you get to see kind of how mad the figuring is, and there should be a picture somewhere around hopefully showing that, because we won't get to see that again for a while. But I've decided that I'm going to use all of this and I'm going to make that base. Normally what I'd do at this point is plane up, thickness the wood, process it down to the sizes that I need. I've already done that because I kind of got ahead of myself a little bit. I do, however, have other videos which I will attempt to link. I'm still not 100% certain how to do that, but I'll find one of them and I'll put a link in it somewhere that shows how I did the kind of thicknessing and things using my router sled. But I have a confession to make here. I didn't use that method with this. I have access in my day job to lots of tools. There have been a few mentions in videos recently where I use things like the Iwasaki rasps and the Merkur sanders. I also have access to a fairly sizable planer, jointer and wide belt sander. So I decided that I was going to use those. It's only cheating if you get caught. Remember that. Actually, don't remember that. That sounds like I'm advocating something entirely different. Scratch that completely. So the first thing that I want to get done with this, since I've already dimensioned the body blank, which I've taken down to 37mm, because I've got 7mm of top to go back on and I want to bring it back up to 44. I believe my maths should be right there. Yeah. Yes, it should. I want some veneers between everything here though. Part of the design that I'm going for is highlighted by contrasting veneers. So I've actually got a longer piece of this, which is, I think it's about 1.2mm thick maple veneer. It's described as construction grade veneer. If you've got a big enough piece And to be honest, the majority of it's maple. It's nice, hard wood. For decorative purposes, and for making laminate tops, which I've done with this in the past, it's good quality wood. So this is a piece I've got that's long enough to go in the neck for the veneers to highlight the laminates. It's going to be a 3-piece neck with 3 veneers between each. I think I'm going to go black, maple black. There is a split in the length of this, but the width of the wood that I've got is absolutely fine. I've gone through the full length of this. I had a piece 3 or 4 times the length of this, and I've actually cut out the best part of the grain for me to use, so I'm going to waste wood with it, but I'll find something else to use it for later. But the neck is going to get put to one side for a little while. I want to get some veneers jointed up so that I can make a start on the body. So I'm going to get rid of those, and I'm going to move this for now, and then I'm going to get the black veneer out, and we need to join that so it's wide enough to go under this top. Under this top. Going either side of this top. So this is poplar veneer, which is stained black, and I need to cut some of this and join it together again to make it wide enough for this body, because as it stands, really, we're less than an inch too narrow. That's not annoying at all. And when I've beveled this, we're literally going to be about 2 millimeters too narrow. Brrr. That's irritating. But I want this wider just to make sure. So what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to mark up where I want this to sit to be able to cut 2 halves out of this. Luckily, it's so close that I should actually be able to just put it to this side, use this as my centre line, slice it straight across here, and then flip the template round and be able to use the other side. I should be able to fit in here. I just need to remember which way round to put them. That's the important thing. So rather than just cutting it straight out and risking wasting the wood, I actually have a chalk pen tucked away in here, which I specifically got for drawing on things like black veneer and ebony and things that I couldn't see a pencil on. So I'm going to mark round here. It's not amazing, but I can just about see it. I very much doubt the camera can, but at the moment, I'm afraid that's not my concern. So as I've got this, I've got a bit of wiggle room either side. I want to leave a bit of space in the cutaways of the body here so that I can use some pins to index everything together. But I think I can make this work. So I'm going to cut this out and then I'm going to figure out how to join it together. So I bypassed a couple of steps with the video because it decided to stop recording. However, I've taped up the 2 veneers that I want. I've got the edges that I want to join together taped flush. So one on top of the other, and the edge facing me is on both of the pieces the edge that needs to be straight and jointed. I've got a piece of MDF with a nice straight side that I've put them on top of, and on top of that, because I've got lots of weird stuff hanging about in my workshop, I've actually got a sheet of glass with a very nice straight edge. And I've clamped that down on top because firstly it's got the weight that'll help hold this flat. Secondly, it's nice, flat and smooth. And thirdly, it's see-through, I can tell what's going on. So if this does move at all, I can see. So I've got 2 or 3 millimeters extra that I can plane away quite comfortably to get this nice and flat. And I've got out my number 4. I don't use this very often. Most of my planes are old, reconditioned planes with kind of wooden handles and nice old steel bodies and things. This is a bit newer and plastic and not amazing, to be fair. But I'm going to use it. It is sharp. I've set the blade at an angle, so I've got more of the blade sticking out at the top, which it's going to be barely noticeable on the join, but the way I'm doing it means that because it's a very thin surface, if I angle the cut, it's ever so slightly more surface area to glue. And I want to get some glue in this join before I put it on the top, just to see if I can get it to hold together. It's 0.6 millimeters thin, so it's we shall see. So basically, I'm just going to run the plane along here until I've got a nice flat straight edge. At this point, the best thing to do is to have some slightly stretchy masking tape. I'm not sure I actually have any that has much of a stretch to it. So if you line up the ends that you're trying to join and then pull them together as you tape them, so that is my veneer joined how I want it. What I do now is flip it over, open up the joint slightly, squeeze some glue in there, and then I just make sure it's all pressed down, all nice and flush again, and then I'd probably just put some tape over that joint, which will keep everything together again. Obviously I had a couple of small splits here which I put tape on, and I'll do the same there. And when that's done, I can just go back and give it a bit of a scrape, and I'll sand this gently before I glue it in anyway, because the dye can sometimes stop the glue taking and adhering properly to the surface. Obviously we don't want that. This is going to be a big glue up, so I want to make sure that all of this has got plenty of glue on it, and it's going to work. However, it's bloody freezing in here, so I'm going to put my heater on, and I'm going to go and get a drink, probably have another Kit Kat, and then I'll come back and do the gluing when it's warmed up slightly. If it's going either side, does that make it a middle, not a top? Probably.